Start.
Well, at least we didn't go 10 minutes in or so. Get it out of the way early.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's left. I don't know if we. Is anybody here? You guys are here. There you are.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God! It
Notifications
happened
going
again.
out. Notifications going out. So yeah.
It happened again.
I don't think it went out the first time though. So I think it's just happening now. I don't know.
I
Maybe
feel like I glitched out. Anyway, welcome in. I'm gonna do that intro again. I'm not gonna say the same thing though.
No, you got to do some variation of it, man. Come on.
82-0. Anyway, here we go again. 2-0 again. It was like, did you ever think they were going to lose this game?
No, which is a good thing.
Another thing, it's just like the Sixers. Like they'd take a run, and you just felt like the Celtics were just going to kind of bounce it back. They always kind of did.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw Miami pull ahead there, and Celtics just kind of were like, nope.
Yeah,
in the third quarter.
The only time I thought that this thing might go down the wire was in that third quarter. Obviously,
2-0 shimmy. It's 2-0 shimmy.
But when they got Bam out of there, when he picked up his fourth foul, that's when the Celtics regained the momentum. And look, the way they're closing out quarters, man, it's impressive. I mean, this is the kind of depth that we were looking forward to, right? The way they close out the first quarter, the way they close out the third quarter, which was obviously a big one after you got Bam into foul trouble. They were in foul trouble, right? They were in the penalty early in that quarter. And the Heat used that to their advantage. So I thought the Celtics did a really good job of weathering the storm throughout. But also, like, everyone's just clicking, it seems like.
Right.
The guys who come off the bench, obviously Malcolm Brogdon, Grant Williams, Noah Vonleh, I thought made his presence felt immediately. Coming off the bench, one of the first guys off the bench in that first quarter to sort of stop the bleeding and grab that lead going into the second quarter.
Yeah, and again, the third quarter there, things get a little ugly. The refs just gift, Miami 5 fouls in the first 5 minutes, in the first 3 minutes of the quarter, whatever it was for, and that was just kind of tough there. They could have easily the thing could have easily gotten away from them there. I like that unit that was in there. Brogdon didn't have the cleanest game, but I liked the energy and the pace that he was playing with, and kind of slinging the ball all over the place and keeping them in there. And that third quarter unit that pushed that league back up there was him. It was Grant. It was Tatum. That was good stuff. I like the mixing and matching so far of everything. I guess, when you look at it, sure, you're without Rob, and, differences between this game and last game. Philly was a little bigger, so they went to, hey, did we get a super – look at this. Get Dirk out of the gate already. Dirk, save some of that. Super chatting.
There you go.
That's early. It's early yet. I wasn't going to ask for him, but
was Dirk the one tweeting about it? Someone was tweeting about it. Maybe that was him.
But Dirk, I was going there anyway. The Vonleh train. I like the minutes they're getting out of.
True.
So how did things? And you look. I mean, it's like, yeah, Joe doesn't have a set thing he's doing. You bring in Blake and Vonleh in the first quarter of the Philly game, and you're like, this is what we're doing, huh? We're doing Blake. Okay.
Yeah, but you also had two of your bigs going to foul trouble quickly. But
you did. Right, yeah. You did, and they had to. And what I mean is, it's just based on necessity. Blake doesn't play a minute today, but Hauser gets first quarter run, and Hauser plays Hauser plays about what I think you want Hauser to play on this team, which is 13 minutes. Took three 3-pointers. All of them were open. Nailed 2 of them. He's a plus 12. He's doing. He's not killing himself on defense. I think if you leave him out there too long, he will get exposed. They'll start hunting matchups. It was interesting. They were hunting matchups in this game like it was in the playoffs already. With this one. But yeah, you can't do that for too long, but you do it for stretches. And that's all we were kind of clamoring for last year is you need shooting. You can't find a place to stick this guy on the court with all the other versatile defenders you have out there and make it happen. And then Vonleh, Dirk, holy wow, right? Like early on, that friggin' the spin move and the putback and a couple of jams early. He was active
with the dunk. Yeah, that was good. That was in the look, the offensive rebounding, obviously, we know how much that's going to be worth for the Celtics team. I mean, they need all of that. And then you look at the way the approach was and mix and matching with the second unit guys. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the fact that it seemed like they were trying to hunt Hauser every time he was out there. And that's to me, that's Spoelstra just feeling things out. Saying, look, I'm the experienced head coach here. Let me see how Joe Missoula counteracts. And I thought it was interesting coming out of halftime. He sort of gave him a test there, right? I mean, granted, you have to remember this is Missoula's first game on the road as head coach. These ones matter, obviously. And there was a lot of look. If this thing went the other way, people would have been talking about that third quarter and saying, why did he take so long to call a timeout? It was the 12-0 run, or the lead had disappeared within minutes. Yeah, he sort of let his guys go out there and try to figure things out. And luckily he finally did call a timeout once Miami tied things up at 69. But that's something he's gonna have to figure out on his own. That's just the bumps and the growing pains.
Yeah, you're not expecting. I had no complaints there at all. Going back on the Vonleh thing with Dirk's comment here, this is way better than we could have hoped in the early going. Because again, what are you expecting? Not much, right? But if you can get some meaningful minutes out of this and actually create a big man rotation, and he's part of it, especially when Rob comes back, if that's your third big and you're getting these kind of minutes out of him, you're okay. This whole notion of give me Dwight Howard, give me Boogie Cousins, I'll toss that out the window. If you're getting these minutes from Vonleh when Rob returns, you're great. And you're fine.
They wouldn't have fit on this team though. I mean, that's why you get.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, Blake Griffin is obviously he's well past his prime, but he's still a guy that can run the floor and not. You don't want to play him 20 minutes or so, but if you're playing him anywhere between 10 to 12 or 13, that's exactly where you can get the most out of him at that, like you said, that third center. That's just sort of the reinforcement that you wanted to have. At least one veteran presence. Now, Noah Vonleh, I mean, from the second he checked in that first preseason game, you just saw that he just got it. It just clicked for him, what his role or what it could potentially be on this team. And that's essentially being that defensive anchor in the front court off the bench, especially with Rob out, especially as an outside threat. Do you remember that when he first checked in, within the first 3 minutes, he made a 3-pointer, and everyone's like, well, wait a minute, who's this guy again? Everyone's looking at their programs. I got text messages from friends being like, who is this guy? And I'm like, hey, he was in the league before, and he's getting his shot with this team, and this is an ideal situation for him right now. He's making the most out of it.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian here. Phenomenal. That's the only comment there, and that's fine. I agree. It's phenomenal right now. Everything's phenomenal.
I wasn't trying to give Bobby too much grief, but I had to when he just kept talking about rotations and mentioning Cornette. And I'm like, look, the guy was out at the time. He was still coming back, and Vonleh was just showing him out. It just outshining him, even though it was a small sample size. It just looked ideal.
Yeah, it's so far I like what we're getting there. You're getting and again, it wasn't, it wasn't the same as the Philly game, just in terms of, you had some guys struggling a little bit with their shots. Marcus didn't have the best game. He tried to squeeze too many passes into tight spots. The Heat are good. They're an active defense. They've got active hands. That's not the kind of stuff that's going to work with them. Brogdon was a little bit cold, but it still gave them what they needed. As you said, Smart drew that fourth foul on Bam. And that turns the tide. So it's hard to say anything other than phenomenal. It really is. Let's bring in Michael here. Michael, thank you guys for the super chat, little gifts here. It is scary. It's funny. I was seeing this on Twitter, Michael. I forget who was talking about it, but just based off of, again, look, what do we do in Boston? We overreact to the positive and the negative, right? It's just what we do. It's hard to not. There's enough tape on these guys going back to last year, Josue, to see what you see now and think there's nothing fluky, that it is a bit of an evolution, that it is, you're seeing how things fit with Tatum and Brown coming back, and the core group coming back, Derek White in his first full season, and then adding Brogdon to the mix. It feels different already out of the gate with these guys. There's just something there where, as I said, I can't quite articulate exactly what it was, but I never at any point felt like they were going to lose this game. And how many times
John, these guys and kids are all grown up. I was saying on the Cedric Maxwell podcast, I was telling Max, I'm like, listen, everyone was using the first day of school analogy for the home opener, but I'm with that as well. It had that feel to it, but it also felt like, like the seniors coming back, with like hair on their face. It's like, look at you guys all grown up.
I know.
Look how you guys have just can just see an obstacle and just do the right thing quickly, right? Because in that first quarter, that was the best Philly looked, and they were able to adjust, and they were able to do it on the fly, and they were able to, commit to the ball movement and seeking the best clean looks, and high percentage shots, all of that. And of course, guys like Malcolm Brogdon and, you know, having the preseason and everything to sort of get back into the flow of things, all that does help. But also, what also helps is coming off of the NBA Finals, and guys like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown they're just focused on a whole nother level right now. And I think you're seeing that, you know, that maturation of both of these guys being genuine leaders. Like they're leading this team. It's them two. And
pretty locked in. Pretty locked in right now. I mean, the shot selection is a little tougher today, but again, that's kind of what Miami does to you. You can work the ball around. You still might not get a quality shot against a team like this and a defense like this. So there were times where you just needed Tatum to be Tatum and Brown to be Brown. I remember there was a couple times where I'm like, I thought Tatum was forcing the issue, and it worked. And that's fine if that's what you're going to do, and it's going to result in a bucket. Sometimes just scorers got to score. They were both, again, phenomenal. I mean, Jaylen didn't even get back in the game there. He probably would have cracked 30 if he did. He grabbed those 2 offensive fouls late. Brogdon didn't score. We talked about this, but the spacing is key. Thanks, Nor. I totally agree. That third quarter, Bobby texted on the chain exactly that. Like Brogdon's been awesome, but then you look at the box score and it's like, oh, it was like 2 for 9, it kind of looked ugly. But it's right. Just the spacing, his ability to attack, and to find shooters is something they didn't have last year.
Right, and you can tell that's a priority of his. Right, I don't think he's the kind of guy who's like, okay, well, if we can't get a run going, I got to start doing things offensively. No, he's still going to remain to the same game plan and trying to get others going, and then he's going to pick his spots. Right, I mean that pull up 3-pointer, man. Like I just remember. Just throughout so many the past 4 or 5 seasons, whatever team he was on, whether it was the Bucks or the Pacers, he was that guy who would pull up when you least expected it. And to see that on the Celtics team now, I mean, again, it's not the same sort of approach where he was a lot more aggressive on those teams. He's just trying to make sure the offense flows. Whatever the best option is to keep the offense flowing at his best is what he's doing. And I think that's great for this team. It's going to get other guys going. Brogdon he'll have his nights. He'll pick his spots when he's going to just start feeling it, and he's going to know when, okay, I'm in attack mode now. But for the most part right now, he's doing his best, just giving the offense what it needs.
I love it. And as I said, I'm trying not to turn this into a controversy, but I know people in the chat already are. The Brogdon versus Marcus debate. I do think you're going to have a lot of games where they close. Tonight, it wasn't really an issue because Jaylen was out. And so that's what you needed anyway. But, I know people are going to start kind of going there. To me, the answer is both. And to me, the answer is starting doesn't really necessarily matter. I don't think that this is going to be much of a controversy, but I do think people are going to try to make it one.
Yeah, I mean, it happened the moment we found out about Brogdon, right? I mean, it happened when a lot of when 4 or 5 of his new teammates were shouting him out and saying congrats, and Marcus took, I don't know, a couple of weeks or so, whatever the case may be. I never looked that deep into it because the kind of professional that Brogdon is, and they're gonna figure this thing out. I just hope it's not something that he's constantly asked about, and if it is, I'm sure he'll handle it professionally, but. I mean, look, Marcus is going to have his nights as well. He's also going to have nights like tonight where he didn't look so great, scoring wise. But that's why you have reinforcements like Malcolm Brogdon to sort of help each other out and become essentially what they were talking about in media day is the best defensive backcourt in the NBA. I think that's their goal right now.
Yeah. And again, the rotations are still solid here. And again, without Rob. And I do think, again, just, if you look at the majority of the league, I mean, somebody put it out there. And again, it's only 2 games. We get it. Someone put it out there earlier, like amazing that they can be playing this well against Rob. That's going to put the league on notice. And again, it's only 2 games, but these are 2 of the 3 top contenders in the East. And it's not even, There's no question about it. And they're coming at you with everything they've got. And you're the defending conference champs, and they want to beat you in the heat or have you in their own building. And, you knocked them out and cost them a trip to the finals last year. And you're playing without, arguably your 3rd best player and one of the most impactful defenders in the league. And you're able to do this. It really is interesting because, again, the defense is going to be fine. It's going to hang in there without Rob. But the offense is on another level than last year. And when Rob comes back again, you're going to suffer a little bit offensively. Obviously, when he's on the court, you don't have the same sort of movement. But I do think if Joe commits to, I think if Joe doesn't go down that double big path, I think things can get really interesting here. Grant Williams, another huge game for him. Thank you here again. And again, we do appreciate these tips, guys. Don't feel compelled that you have to do it. We're going to put up comments, even if you don't tip it. We love it, and we do appreciate it. Obviously, it helps us, bring this content to you for free, which is what we always want to do. And if we get enough super chat tips, we will buy Bobby a few more bucket hats to be able to take on the road with him. For sure, because that's what it's all about ultimately. And again, Bobby's in the locker room right now checking things out, and will be joining us in a little bit here. Anything else stand out to you from this game, Josue?
Just the way the way they stopped the bleeding, and just the way they're playing in transition, right? I mean, whether it's getting buckets in bunches, or just putting together the type of runs that can just completely take it out of it. I mean, the Miami Heat fought back. That's what they do. They have players that do that. I mean, that can put together stuff the way they did. And Bam Adebayo started getting, he had his rah-rah moments when they tied things up, but then it got back to what they were doing, right? The Celtics got back to what they were doing. And I think that's a characteristics trait. I know it's early, but that's a great characteristic trait to have in a team this early, and especially on the road. Against a really good Miami Heat team that, quite frankly, they want to kill you, right? I mean, after what happened after Game 7, I mean, we talked about, or at least I talked about with Max on our podcast, having that target on your back, right? And all these top teams in the East now, all of a sudden, they're gonna circle that day on the calendar when they're facing you, and you're gonna get a team's best effort. And so far, so good. I mean, the Celtics have shown, the type of elite offense that we weren't quite sure we we're going to see this early, right? Let's be honest. This is really great.
Good comment here from Darwin. I do agree. There's no panic right now, which is pretty good. We've seen it in the last 2 games. You've seen little runs back and forth. How many times? And again, we always have to talk about last year's team as like a tale of 2 teams. First half, second half. How many times that first half team? How many times even in the playoffs did you see them come to pieces? And not be able to sustain, other teams' runs, or just lose their focus and completely come out of games. They haven't done that here. Again, it's really the poise in the first 2 games is really impressive. Kind of pulling it together, not getting too frustrated, not trying to do too much, just kind of playing. Just no panic in them at all, which I think is something that's really, evident this year. Derek White, I'm an asshole. I know it.
I know you appreciated those 10 first quarter points, man. Like, oh man, this guy's on a roll already.
I'm an asshole, and that's always going to happen. I take my shots. Look, that's part of it, right? The dude's got to knock down shots. Nobody has any problems with any of the aspect of his game, but he's got to knock down shots.
Yeah.
And this is another one, actually, Kess. I'll get back to that one in a little bit, because that's interesting. You point that out. Guy's got to knock down shots. When he does, he becomes a much more useful player. If he's a total, again, we've seen, even if you look at PJ Tucker out there, when teams are playing guys who are just total offensive liabilities, what that does to your offense and how it can really lock it down. When you had White out there for stretches, he couldn't knock down the shots. Like, it's great that he moves well without the ball. It's great that he moves it quickly. It doesn't stick in his hands. It's great that he's a really smart defender and knows where to be. But he's got to knock down some shots, and just being able to take, because the ball's going to swing, it's coming around to you, and that's it, man. You just got to knock him down. We're talking about wide open, oftentimes corner threes. It's one of the easiest shots in basketball for those guys. He's got to hit them, and when he does, it's a different ball game. I know it's like pretty simple analysis, but he had a quarter, and it wasn't just hitting those shots. He was playing great defense. He was awesome. He was awesome all quarter.
Yeah, no, he was. And I'm with you, John, because it doesn't necessarily have to be that 3-point shot too, right? I would love to see him open up the mid-range game, have that set shot ready, because those open looks, that those are going to be there. I mean, that's the benefit of having this offense that's been clicking on all cylinders, seems like right now, and in the sense of everyone moving the ball and looking for the open guy. Like, he's going to have those open looks, especially in the starting lineup that features Tatum and Brown, and someone like Marcus is gonna look for him at times. So Matt, you want to see him sort of find a rhythm here, and I think we're starting to see that a little bit. Even though it was only that one quarter, he seemed like he just lit it up and then kind of cooled off after that. But yeah, it's something to keep a close eye on for sure.
Yeah,
and I'm glad Sam, Hauser was in here, got in here as well, and was able to knock down a 3 and just sort of get his reps in right now and see what happens within week 2 or so of the season.
Yeah, the Austin also. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. I appreciate it. Will they be cautious? Will they be cautious with Rob? I don't think winning or losing matters with Rob at this point. I think it's all meaning. I don't think if the team was at 500. Which I don't think they'll be, heading into January, or 15 games over 500, it affects them. They're playing the long game with Rob at this point. Yeah, so I think they wait. There's nothing to be gained. It's not the playoffs. You're not rushing him back. Rob Williams does not see the court until he is 10,000% ready and in good enough shape. And then I think he ramps up really slowly. There's nothing to be gained. And then even then, I think you're looking at managed minutes in the early going as well. I think everything possible here with Rob. And also, I don't even know what he may be on, some sort of regimen where they're insisting that he only play X amount. And, he might be on a minutes restriction coming out of the gate. That wouldn't be shocking either. They're going to absolutely, take it really slow here. Kes, I lost your comment, but I wanted to talk about it. One of the things, Kes threw out there was the team hitting the next level. What's it going to take? And this is something we always talked about. If Tatum and Brown were the 15th best and the 25th best player in the NBA, what would it take for the Celtics just with this core to be able to be a championship contender year in, year out? It's if they both get into kind of close to top 10 status, or Tatum becomes a top 10 guy and Brown somehow sneaks into 5, or 15 or something like that. It's happening. We're watching it happen right now. One game in, and the entire NBA media completely just decided these guys are this is a top duo in the NBA. Yeah,
for sure, no question. I mean, look, that's what happens when you put on 70 points between the two of you in game 1 of the regular season. I mean, that hasn't happened since 1969 with the Lakers. I mean, that's the kind of production that I think people were overlooking going into the season, right? Like, how are they going to respond from the loss against the finals? A lot of Tatum's been talking about it recently. Just the fact that he knew after their game that the Warriors would be receiving their rings. So it's something that, I mean, that's a superstar mindset right there. That's someone who's trying to take his game to another level, but mentally, and it's showing on the court in all facets, right? I mean, I think you said it right in the group chat during game 1. This is he is killing it in every single statistical category, whatever you want to call it, whatever he needed to do, he's doing it right now. And I think that carried over into game 2 as well. When the Celtics really needed him to sort of take things into his own hands, he did, but he didn't do it in a way that wasn't beneficial for everyone else. And I think Jalen's doing the exact same from the very first preseason game. You've seen that carry over. So, yeah.
I'm leaving this comment up here. Bobby picked the Heat to win. He's a bum. And we're going to bring in Bobby right now and have him defend that pick. What's up, buddy?
I didn't pick the Heat. That's a lie. I picked the Sixers on opening night. I had the Celtics.
No. He's talking about after, if I had to guess, DC. You're talking about when the Celtics were down 3-2 in the series. You were like, this thing's over.
No, the Celtics were up 3-2.
I mean, no, not 3-2. No, when they When did you flip flop after they lost?
I don't know what he's talking. That guy's talking nonsense.
The last
you flip flopped every game of the Heat series.
Yeah, no, but the last
loss,
the last Celtics loss, you were like, I don't think they're gonna come out of this one. I forget if that was it 5 or 6?
That was the Bucks series. Yeah. I don't know. Whatever.
It doesn't matter. Bobby, what are your takeaways in this one? Again, it wasn't as clean a win as Philly. Start to finish.
That's a good thing, right?
It's a good thing because they won a little ugly. They got out of sorts at times and they brought it back together. They kept their composure. I thought Tatum and Brown at times forced the issue, whereas in game one, I think everything just came to them very easily, very naturally. Nothing felt forced. But sometimes, a couple of times it worked, and a couple of times it's what they needed. Brogdon didn't have a great statistical line, but his ability to pace and space was really, really valuable, particularly in the third quarter. They got useful minutes out of Vonleh and Hauser. I mean, it was a great all-around win without them really playing necessarily their best or cleanest basketball.
Yeah, and they're going to have to do that on certain nights. The offense wasn't there early, and they just found ways to break around Miami's defense with some good passing at times, some good movement, and then especially great defense turning into offense. I thought the defense, after the offense went on opening night, the defense was excellent here in this one. And smothering on the perimeter. How many shots did they block on jump shooters? Around the rim, I thought they played well. They gave up a lot of offensive rebounds, which is, I think, something we're going to expect them to do here. But hey, this is a team, I think, that's just going to figure out.
You blocked 11 shots without Rob Williams. You blocked 11 shots in this game,
Yeah.
Derek White had 3 blocks, and we've talked about this before, Bobby. He's one of the best. This is right out of the Bobby Manning, Derek White, handbook. He's one of the best shot blocking guards in the NBA. He blocked 3 shots today. He was unbelievable.
Yeah, and I thought Smart got around those Bam screens. Well, that play in the third where he got him into foul trouble was ginormous. And Bam kind of got in his own head over that play, picks up a technical, and boom, it was all Celtics from that point on. So defensively, they were sharp. They're still figuring it out, too, on that end with Brogdon and some of these new guys like Vonleh, who I thought gave them some good first half minutes, second half minutes. But Horford gave them what they needed, essentially, at that center spot in this one. And, my overall thought is just that this team looks like they're just going to figure it out night in, night out. They're better than most teams. This team that they're not as much of a sure bet over, they make enough plays and are deeper than, and that's crazy to think, right? They're deeper and have a better bench unit than this Miami team that was, I thought, had some of the best depth in the NBA last year. But now you have Brogdon, you have Vonleh giving you some minutes, and Hauser giving you a few threes that were crucial. The Celtics just have a lot of answers this year. And it feels like they have a style to beat every team. I know Joe Missoula keeps talking about that, but the more I watch this team early this season, they're going to win a ton of games. I just think they have answers for pretty much every opponent they're going to play against here.
Well, that's the thing is again, what's the benefit of having a lineup 1 through, let's say, 7 right now, 1 through 8 when you have Rob in there, of such versatile people who can do so many different things and play a lot of different styles, is you don't even have to change your personnel to play different styles. Here, though, you make a tweak or two if you need to, and this was a game where you could create a little more space by getting Hauser out there and feeling that he could handle himself on defense against the people who he was on the court against there. I think that's nice when you can do that. I do think there's going to be opportunities for Pritchard, even though he is a little bit buried right now. Vonleh giving you minutes, but I mean, the bottom line is the core 7, core 8 of this team can play a lot of different styles and a lot of different opponents, and change the way that they attack you depending on who's out there. I mean, Van Gundy, I remember it from the Heat series last year. He's always obsessed with the Celtics, how much, especially Celtics versus Heat. He's like, look at how big they are and how small Miami is here. And it's just always the case. You're big, but you're athletic, and you can shoot, and you can space, and you can switch, and you can do this many things. It really is a problem.
Yeah, and I don't love Miami this year. I don't. So I think you're still waiting for that first big test. Philly didn't play good on opening night. I thought the Heat were wretched in this one at certain times. That Deadman stretch after Bam went out with foul. Why was Dedmon launching a three and shooting a
Yeah,
fadeaway
that was
after
weird.
that? And then how many pull-up threes did Lowry take when those just weren't there for him? Butler disappeared. I
Butler
just don't
did
get this
look
Heat team. They're
disinterested in a
frenetic.
weird way. You're right, Bobby. You mentioned that in our
Yeah.
chat. Butler looked off. There's plays where he
Yeah.
just kind of gave up on the play a few
He was
times.
like checked out. Yeah, some of the plays. Yeah.
He looked checked out. I remember one where the one Tatum went up and under, and then he grabbed the rebound, and Butler just watched him go right back up with it. There was a couple of times like that. To Lowry's credit, he looks like he dropped about 25 pounds, so he looks a little bit better than last year. He looked dreadful last year.
Yeah, still the shot making's not there for him.
It's
He's
not
just
there.
not the same guy. And then
He's
Max Strus, no show. You have Hero, and I don't think Hero got the ball enough. He was killing them around those screens.
He disappeared. He didn't have a
Yeah.
bucket for like a 20-minute stretch there.
What do you have? One in the fourth quarter, maybe?
Yeah, that's it. He had early third and then nothing again until somewhere in the middle of the fourth. He just completely disappeared.
So, I think when you look back on this game, I think the Celtics probably deserved to win, but few bounces, few bad possessions by Miami where they took bad shots. I think this one probably could have been closer or gone a different way. And there were a lot of shots that the Celtics put up that were pretty poor where they got their own offensive rebounds too. So this wasn't a perfect win by any means. I think the Heat opened the door for them in many different situations that second half, especially where Bam's sitting for that whole third quarter. But you get credit. You make enough plays, you come out of it, you defend, you make enough shots. Tatum had nice shots in the second half. You deserve this one, but I think there is a world where you lose this game if Bam's not in foul trouble.
But that's what's
if a
different.
few bounces go the other way.
But that's what's different, right? And again, it's hard to put it. Don't want to be like, it's hard to describe it in a tangible way. But already after two games, like last year, we had so many times where we're like, they're looking around for somebody to take charge, for somebody to calm this down, for somebody to stop the bleeding, for somebody to lead them out of, when they just go dead, scoreless for 6 minutes or whatever. And you had one stretch, I think it was 3:43 where they went scoreless there in the third quarter. But they're responding to that a lot differently. And again, it's only two games. They're responding to that a lot differently than they did at a lot of times last year.
And once again, let's talk about that guy, Brogdon, right, Josue? He comes in that third, and he's just making stuff happen.
They needed him in the finals, Bobby. That was the missing piece. They needed someone like that, just to sort of tame everyone's emotions, or just the way that they used to. John and I talked about it before you hopped on. Like there were so many times where the offense would just go ice cold, and you just needed someone to just sort of ease that block, and that's what Malcolm Brogdon does with this team. And he can finish the games for you if you need to. And look, we still haven't seen what this team's going to do when it's down to the wire and they're battle tested all the way to the end. But it's a good problem to have this, up until this point, because these are two top-notch teams in the East that they've already faced. We'll see what happens tomorrow with Orlando, and then they have another team that a lot of people have been excited about going into the season. That's the Chicago Bulls. So these are great tests for the Celtics right now. I love that two of them are on the road, and so far they're passing with flying colors. The first week of the regular season.
All right, real quick, we wanted to hold on, Bobby. Before we get into that, I do want to. We got to pay some bills. So hold on one second.
We got a Twitch.
Oh yeah, that was.
We got a few, Bobby. It's been good.
Want to tell you guys about our sponsor, Athletic Greens. By now, everybody should know all about AG1. And I'm going to say this again, and I'm not saying it just to say it. I'm saying it because it's happening. Quite a few of you have purchased this, and so far the returns are good. Last show, I got 3-4 DMs almost right after the show. People who did grab themselves Athletic Greens, and you guys tell me how you like it. It's something all of us use on the show. We started using it because wanted all of the benefits, the gut health, more energy, the optimized immune system, all of that stuff. But basically, it's just easy. That's the best part about it, is rather than take this pill for that and this for that and drink this for that, it's just right there. 75 high quality vitamins, minerals. It's just one scoop in a cup of water and you're done. That's it. You've taken care of your health for the day. It's diet friendly. There's no sugar. You can basically, it doesn't matter what you're on, gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan, paleo. It works there. It's basically $3 a day. And that's it. and you're done, as opposed to, as I said, having to shop around and get a million different pills and supplements to try to take care of all the various things that you're trying to, do for your body. 7,000 5-star reviews recommended by athletes, health experts, all of that stuff. So again, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. If you use that URL there, athleticgreens.com/garden. Once again, athleticgreens.com/garden. Go there, and you'll get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs. We are also, I swear, sending out these phenomenal t-shirts. This is not the design. It's been redesigned. It's been redesigned and it's coming out. And that is that. So again, support our sponsor. And you will get a t-shirt. Just DM me with your receipt, your shirt size, your address, and we will send it right out for you. And as we said, anybody here wants to get involved with a super chat, we're not going to stop you, but by all means, guys, don't feel pressured to do so. All proceeds go towards buying Bobby some new bucket hats.
Need a new one.
Yeah.
No, I'm getting bored of this one.
Yeah,
Yeah?
the thing is, it's beyond off-white at this point, right? It's a little dirty, so get rid of it.
Free, you get a free pink hat. This is my this is my pink hat for all of you out there. So leave it alone, okay? It's my girl dad hat. So yeah, Bobby, you were about to get in on something. I apologize, I cut you off.
I want to keep going on Brogdon because I feel like what we've seen from him so far isn't even what the best version of him is going to look like. He's still getting acclimated to this defense.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
He was talking in the locker room just a few minutes ago about how like this is a really complicated system with all the switching and everything that he's still getting used to in that sense. And then offensively, he hasn't had the ball in his hands a ton. I feel like it was mostly Smart tonight. I feel like leading the show. They get the ball in his hands to make a quick decision going downhill, and he's great at that. Like they're getting him the ball in between and allowing them to make some quick decisions in there. And then the shot making, I think, is going to improve as well. You see there 2 for 9. So this is a good game from him where he's just doing little things to help break open that offense, just like Josue was saying. Like when they would stall in the playoffs, imagine if they had a guy who would get point blank to the rim, miss, but grab his own shot and then fire it around and get Grant a huge 3, and that pretty much iced the game, that third second chance point he created. So that third quarter, I thought, even though the stats don't look good out of this one, even though this wasn't his best game, he just made so much happen.
And I was saying,
go ahead,
just real quick, before you hop on, he's in a different mindset. Like you said, he's trying to figure out the system. He's trying to blend in. He's trying to make sure that he can, enhance the offense by making other guys their jobs easier, right? I don't think we've seen that Brogdon of when he was with the Bucks or Pacers where he was having to not necessarily having to be one of those top guys to score, but that was part of his job, right? To score and to put up points in tough spots when the other guys' shots weren't falling. In this case, it could be Tatum and Brown, but I don't think he's even approached that yet. That stage where he's going to feel that when we're going to see those big nights where he has 20 plus points and he's on a tear and he's averaging 20 points in the last 2 weeks or so. Like I still think that's still part of his game as well. So it's all going to benefit the Celtics in a big way, and which is why I just think a lot of people are talking about it in the offseason how it's one of the top moves. This might be the biggest trade, at least for the Eastern Conference, that we're talking about in the sense of how it impacts this team. Like that's how big this trade was. And you think about what the Celtics gave up. I mean, you could say this is Brad Stevens' best move. I know it's a little too early. He's only played 2 games here, but it could go down as his best move, which was probably second to Al Horford trade when he first got the job.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that. You look back on it, and it's like 3 contracts, Tice, who maybe they could use right now, but not really, and Neesmith, who is struggling, as John keeps pointing out on Twitter in Indiana. And then you throw in a first. Yeah, round pick.
It wasn't a victory lap. It was just interesting, actually.
No, it was a low key victory lap, and I appreciate it.
Because I mean tonight Richardson had.
You threw the Bruno stat line like of all these.
Bruno
people,
was good.
Bruno,
and somebody told me Bol had 10 points or something.
Oh my God, Bol had this like layup where he went from the 3-point line and just spun his body around, laid it in reverse. He looked great.
Yeah. So, no, it wasn't a full victory lap. Neesmith, for what it's worth, is playing minutes. He got another 20 minutes again tonight. I think 9 points or so. Richardson had 24 points. Romeo, oh man. I mean, oh man. He is in. Did you see the final score of the San Antonio, Indiana game?
No.
137 to 134 in regulation. Pacers put up 49 points to make it a 3-point game in the 49-point fourth quarter.
Shit.
Unreal. I mean, just a ridiculous game. And they went like 12 deep on their team, but Neesmith's playing some minutes there. Romeo did not see the floor. Jay Rich had 27 off the bench, 6 of 8 from 3. A lot of people are talking about getting Richardson back here. I'm on board. If you find a way to make that happen, sure, why not?
Yeah, they trade him at the deadline, right? Though, so he
can't
get a guy back for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's in the cards. But
no, the Horford, the Brogdon trade. What's so funny is like it was like the publicity behind it was like it was the low key best move of the offseason. What do you mean low key? It was such a huge deal for them, like something they needed so badly that they got. And Sherrod made it. Sherrod, we had some technical difficulties, but I think he's good. What's up, buddy? Can't hear you right now. Check the mic real quick. Sherrod is in Miami. I like it. I like what's going on there. Still don't have you. No, but I'm confident. I'm confident it'll happen for you. But why? We were talking about Malcolm Brogdon. Why low key, guys? I mean, again, this is such a huge need. I mean, and again, this is not meant to be a knock on Marcus. I have to say this preemptively so people don't jump all over me in the chat. But the reality is
it's different.
It's not a matter of different. It's not a knock on Marcus to say what he didn't do or what he couldn't do last year. We spent all of this time with people. Every time he'd get a nice assist, and he had a beautiful no-look bounce pass. Was it to Tatum cutting baseline for a dunk, or Jalen tonight? Yeah, he can make some really nice passes. He has good court vision. It's not like he's inept, but playmaking and being a point guard is about more than making the occasional pass. It is the point guards who can score and who are an offensive threat completely change the flow and the dynamic of what's going on there. And that's what Brogdon can do, because he is a threat to score at all times. He's aggressive going to the basket. He's not afraid to take his shot. And he can also distribute. It's a package deal. Scoring is an important part of being a point guard. It is. You have to be able to do it. You have to be a threat to do it in order to draw some attention to you. And that's what frees people up, and that's what creates space. I don't know why that was such a controversial thing to say, because every time you'd say they need more playmaking at the point guard position, people would get so upset that it was a knock on Marcus. It's not. It's just not his game. It's not. He's never been that guy. Why would you expect him to be that guy? He was a capable point guard given what else they had on the roster. But you see a guy like Brogdon, it opens up a lot of possibilities that didn't exist last year.
Yeah, but the Marcus Smart fan club, I mean, that was it. That narrative started immediately. And I never looked at it as that, as you had to pick an option. I mean, you had to pick one of those guys. I looked at them as playing together. Maybe if not starting, that they were going to finish most games together. And I just think that.
Here's an example of it. This is a perfect example. You take a snapshot of something that he does and like, oh, look, you're saying he can't. Of course, he can score some, but overall, he's a very inefficient scorer. He's got a very low shooting percentage. He's not great at the rim. He's not great from behind the arc. He's not a great scorer. He does a million other things for you, and he was the only guy capable of scoring for them or running the point for them last year. There's no question. Right. None of those things are a question, but sorry, go ahead.
Absolutely. No, you're right. You're spot on. And also, if you're Brad Stevens, you're like, man, these guys are going to enhance one another, right? And Brogdon, again, for his experience, for who he is as a player, his reputation, the locker room guy, easy go guy who puts the team first before his own personal needs. And that's exactly what. And look, you talk about the defense and him trying to get familiar with the switching. I can't think of another guy who can come in here, at least from the backcourt, a guard that could come in here and be this effective without overshadowing guys like Tatum and Brown. So yeah, I never understood this whole like, oh, this is low key one of the better moves of the offseason. No, this is probably the best move, especially for teams in the East, especially for a team that this could be the piece that turns them into champions. Coming this upcoming June or next June.
Yeah, Sherrod, how we doing there? Doesn't sound very soundy. Bobby, I don't know what happened to you, my man. I'm seeing like nothing here.
I thought I heard background noise from Sherrod, but
I got nothing from Sherrod right now. Sherrod, check your settings here and just make sure that your audio is on whatever input that you have there. But yes, Brogdon adds another dimension. Didn't really exist last year.
Right.
And right now that's been one of the more, in addition to the Jays' overall maturity and just the way that they're playing and really, really confidently and letting the game come to them as two of the more striking things. I think Brogdon is the other thing that really stands out as an automatic difference. It jumps off the page.
It does. And I think just from the first few preseason games, we got a sense of that. Like, whoa, look at this team. I mean, yeah, these guys came back from the finals. The main guys like Tatum and Brown and Horford, they look great. In the sense of like, you could tell they've been working out and stuff over the summer, but you just saw the difference this guy makes, the missing piece that this team needed last season, because 90% of these guys are back from last season, and you see how he was able to fit in and enhance everyone. Just from those first three tune-up games, the preseason games. And now here we are in the first two games of the season.
Good point here, Dirk. I agree. Grant 2.0 is nice. You saw this stuff in the preseason when he started pulling out. Yeah, Grant started pulling out the hezzy, and he's driving the basket. Stuff you didn't really see from him last year. Gone are the days where he's just camped out in the corner. He is trying to affect the offense and attack in ways that he wasn't before. His defense has been outstanding again. I mean, he's a really important player for them. There's no question about it. We are trying to work this out. Bobby, I don't know what I'm looking at, my man. I'm just looking at like this, like it looks like a manila folder or something. Come back when you're ready to come back. Hey, thank you very much. We got a super chat in here.
Oh, what we got?
From Devin.
Yeah, I saw that right when the show started. I was like, whoa, they didn't mean
Did you guys see Utah beat Minnesota? Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Not just beat them, they drilled them.
Well, at least that one went to overtime. That was around this. That was a similar score to the game you were just talking about.
Oh, sorry, they were up. They were up. I'm sorry. Who did they beat on the first night? Oh, Denver. Jesus, I saw they beat Minnesota. Sorry, I thought you meant Denver. They drilled Denver.
And then Minnesota won tonight.
And Utah beat Minnesota tonight. Utah's 2-0. Yeah. Denver's like my sneaky finals pick. Not too sneaky. I think they're a pretty fashionable pick. If you don't want to take Golden State, there's the Clippers, and then I like Denver in there coming back healthy for the first time ever and getting Jokic some help. But yeah, Utah, holy wow, right? 2-0, with 40 first-round draft picks next year.
Yeah, if they keep messing around, Dane's gonna trade a couple more pieces. They better relax.
Right. Take it easy. Take it easy here.
We don't do that here. Right?
That Wemby sweepstakes, right?
especially when you have the biggest prospect since LeBron James coming up. He's like, do you guys really want to screw up my dream? This is my dream, okay? It didn't work in 2007. It sort of worked with Tatum, but we had to trade. He hasn't grabbed that clear cut, the absolute best person in the draft. I think he wants to check that off his bucket list.
Yeah. I really don't know what I'm looking at with Sherrod and Bobby's screens right now. So guys, when you're ready to come back, you guys just text me, because I have no idea what's happening over there.
So what's new with you, John? What's going on in life? No, I'm just kidding. While we wait.
My children are killing me. They're killing me.
Is that right?
Yeah. But that's
is it always like this because of the beginning of the school year? Is that what it is, or is it just in general?
No, they're just assholes. No, they're great. They're just four. They're
just kids, right? They're kids.
4-year-old twins. What do you want from me? They're tough. Back-to-backs tomorrow. I don't know. Do you think there's a chance I'm kind of psyched you get to see Paolo. He's been great through 2 games.
He had a great debut too. Yeah,
he's great. He was good again tonight. I wonder if you might give Horford a rest.
Well, he was Joe Missoula was asked about it before the game, and they said no. But I mean, we've seen that happen before. The tomorrow morning they decide, I want to take the night off. But I like to see him out there. Maybe not. Maybe keep his minutes monitored a bit. But what did he do tonight? He hit 30.
No, he had 20 tonight, 27 the night before, but he had those numbers like the first 25-5-5 since LeBron's debut, which I remember watching like with my mouth agape. It's such a LeBron obsession. That year when they televised every one of his high school games, and he just came out there and just looked every bit the part. Thank you again, Remy here. Super chat. Tatum and Brown playing good.
Season game against the Kings, man. All the media around him, I was like, whoa.
This is a good point, and we'll eat this one. You're right. You had too many games last year where it was either Tatum or Brown, and not only games, you had too many moments where it was the Tatum quarter and the Brown quarter, and the Tatum quarter and the Brown quarter. And this is a pretty good observation here, I'd say. They are playing well at the same time a lot, and in fact, Night 1, actually, Tatum came out hot and Brown wasn't, but Brown was still playing well. They both played well almost the entirety of both games, obviously with some, hiccups along the way. But you're right. It is, they're both, it's not, there were times last year, certainly with Jalen, maybe even more so than Tatum, where either Tatum would get hot or Tatum would try to find his stroke, and you would forget Jaylen Brown existed. Literally, It was like he wasn't even on the court for huge stretches, just standing off in the corner, not involved in any of the action. Nothing would happen. It's like, and not only you wouldn't score from the first quarter on, he barely touched the ball at times. That's not happening this year.
Right. And I think the NBA Finals has a lot to do with that. I just think he sort of surprised himself in a way, honestly. Like sure, it wasn't the result that everyone wanted, but he was able to find a stride throughout and coexist next to Tatum. I mean, people would argue that, there wasn't that much of a difference, and sure, maybe they're right in some regard, but I just think for a confidence standpoint, I think Jalen needed that. He needed to go through that to realize that they can coexist and take things to another level as a cohesive unit. I mean, that was sort of the whole point, right? That's what everyone envisioned, but you never got that. That was never the narrative throughout the postseason last year, right? It was always like, oh yeah, these two can play with one another, right? They can coexist with one another, but it wasn't like, oh, they make each other better. Like no one was saying that, and maybe this year we'll reach that point. But just the fact that you're not seeing those games where Jalen has 19 points in the first half and then he finishes with 25 at the end. I think he's they're picking their spots and they're working together. I don't think he's necessarily checked out offensively like it seemed like he used to do a lot last year.
Yeah. It looks like Bobby's trying to set up, so we'll try to work him back in. We're going to hang with you guys for a little bit longer because there's still a lot to talk about. We can talk a little bit about tomorrow's game as well, but haven't really given Bobby and Sherrod a chance to chime in, and they were the ones who were down there. And I definitely want to get their take on things. I do want to talk about another one of our sponsors. And again, this one is one of our most reliable, hey, Bobby, sponsors that we've had for a really long time. And we want to keep it that way. And we need your help with that as well. So if you guys are interested in this is Calm, which again, something everybody here on the Garden Report uses. When you think about self-care, what comes to mind? For me, it's just finding time to slow down my busy schedule and chill. And it's really, really hard to do for those of you guys who are super, super busy. And that's one of the reasons I use the Calm app. We've partnered with Calm. It's the #1 mental wellness app. Gives you the tools to help you improve the way you feel. And again, you probably have an idea what the gist of it is. It's a way to reduce stress and anxiety through guided meditations, improve your focus through curated music tracks, rest and recharge through Calm's imaginative sleep stories for children and adults. Jimmy loves the kids' stories. Jimmy loves them. Even new daily movement sessions designed to relax your body and uplift your mind. So go to calm.com/garden right now. You get a ridiculous deal, 40% off for a premium subscription. That's the entire catalog of everything you could possibly have. It's constantly updated. Over 100 million people around the world use it. So again, it works for all of us. It's something we use nightly, and we love it. So again, calm.com/garden, calm.com/garden, 40% off, unlimited access to Calm's entire catalog of all of those things that we mentioned there. Calm.com/garden. Josue, what are you smiling about?
People cracking me up in the comment section, man. It's just random. The thing I love about our viewers is that, like, there's a certain point of the show where it's not just about the game; it's just about whatever comes to their mind, and it's mostly NBA related. But these comments crack me up.
Yeah. Anyway, check it out if you want. Same exact deal applies, by the way. You do that, you get a phenomenal T-shirt. I'd put up the old one.
Get some AG1 and you're good to go.
I should have a picture of the new one, but they didn't send it to me. But there is a new design coming. But there it is. You get a phenomenal T-shirt. So yeah, do that. Send it, Bobby.
We're back.
Bobby, what do you got for us?
Me?
Yeah.
I think he's
just Tatum. Well, I missed Jalen, but Jason was talking about the defensive effort the team made tonight. And again, I'm pretty impressed by his poise in a lot of these post-game pressers now. They sound like a leader, praising Sam Hauser for working his ass off during the summer. And, all the different guys stepping up, Brogdon making it easy. Like, he just goes down the line and gives everybody their due credit. And, I know Nick loves to talk about, like, his poise at the podium and stuff like that. And you roll your eyes at it sometimes because, like, all right, just media relations, stuff we care about. But, like, he just generally seems to have a voice to him this year that he hasn't in past years. And it stands out to me.
Well, this is what bugs me a lot with this conversation is everyone likes to call it a media-driven narrative. And then the players themselves admit to it being a thing. And a thing that they worked on and then they considered, and everyone forgets that they just trashed the media and fans out there who were trying to stir something up. There's nothing wrong with being a leader when you're expected to be a leader. There's nothing wrong with being vocal. There's nothing wrong with improving your overall demeanor and body language. It's kind of part of the job. It wasn't really controversial to say that Jason Tatum has to stop sulking and pouting, and he's got to step up and he's got to have a larger voice on this team because he's the freaking man. He's in a first-team All-NBA. You can't just recede to the background when you have, great power, great responsibility and all that. It's true, and he said it in an interview recently, which is like, I kind of heard y'all's criticism about this stuff, and I do think I need to be a little bit better. On top of that, talking about criticism, his complaining after 2 games is way down. Maybe one, he's gone at the refs a little bit, but not nearly the same as last year, where it was literally on almost every trip to the basket.
It was funny, though, in that first game. He still got a tech. On a play that actually got overturned. It was funny he couldn't get the tech back on that one, too.
And Grant had a much more demonstrative reaction. He's hopping up and down screaming, and Tatum was just like, come on, man. And he got the tech.
Warford, yeah.
But he matured. Bobby, I said this in our text thread. I can't get my mind off this guy.
Oh,
because,
you know what, though? Sorry, go ahead.
What's that? No, I'm again, I'm an asshole. I'm a big critic because you have huge expectations for him. And I couldn't stop thinking about him. After game 1, he looked like he matured like 5 years in one off season. He just looked like a different player to me in terms of just poise, not reacting to anything, not rushing anything, just everything together. Like I said, he played a near perfect game in the first game. And again, he fought through some stuff today and played again, an outstanding game. And again, that's the difference between last year. He would have ugly games and be an actual detriment to the team. Tonight, maybe he's not hitting his threes. He's forcing a couple shots. He's turning the ball over, trying to do too much at times. And he still has a 29-point game and plays phenomenal defense. You have to, when you're Jason Tatum, you have to impact every game all the time. all the time. You can have some bad shooting nights. You can have some games where it's not perfect, but you have to constantly be impacting the game. He had about, if you go through his box scores last year, and I mean, not just box scores, we watched these games. He had about 20 duds out of 80 games or 76 games, however many he ended up playing. Absolute zeros where he was just brutal, for almost the entire game. He just can't have those. And like, again, it just looks like that's not coming for him this year.
Let's go back to our prediction or some of our predictions. Brown keeping pace with them too, point-wise. And again, that wasn't about a competition or anything like that or who's better. It was just about guys falling into their roles. Tatum is getting it done scoring and facilitating while setting up a guy like Jalen for his own too, which is great.
Yeah. And Brown's doing less of the, again, we're talking about a very small sample size. Brown, his drives, very decisive. He's not kind of getting lost, just getting into the paint, jumping up, for everything. Again, they've just both been more decisive and they're just not forcing the issue.
Right. And I think that's the only part of his game or Tatum's game that we were sort of like, when is he going to just stop doing that? The whole, complaining to the refs and sulking, doing that teaching moment in the preseason. We said, look, we don't want to see that going into the regular season. And you saw someone that in some regards people say, oh, they do it all the time. And Tatum's he's just a superstar just like everybody else. Well, guess what? That superstar was a few nights ago in Luka Doncic. You guys see that what happened? Towards the end of that game, the Phoenix Suns are making a big comeback. He throws his arm. He starts throwing his hissy fit. He got hit with a technical foul, and that was a big one, a huge one.
He's worse than Tatum. I mean, he led the league in techs last year. I think
that's a great example for the NBA because look, it's not just Tatum, or not just Tatum is just trying to. He's just becoming the superstars, and that's what superstars do, right? That was the narrative. Oh, LeBron did it. Kobe did it. Michael did it. On and on and on. Well, the refs they're fed up with that, and I think it's not just about Tatum's reputation; it's about everyone that's doing it. And Luka got the brunt end of that as well. So I think that's a part of this game that we'll always keep an eye on, and he'll have to make sure that he's not doing that in key spots, at the end of the game.
Yeah. There's a difference between complaining and showing people up, and I think the showing up is what sometimes happens is this and that.
Yeah, Luka does it all the time. Luka he'll cuss a referee out even though it's 20 feet in between, but it's like, hey,
I saw him do it. I saw him do it once tonight on a drive, hands up, but then he turned and went back. It was pretty quick and to the point.
He's got to shake it out. It's such a habit. He's trying to cut it out. So
as long as it's not leading to technicals, ideally, and ejections and breakdowns and transition defense, that's going to be the most important three things in terms of their complaining, because that's where it killed them last year. I do have one interesting thing to ask you guys, though, from Joe off this one. What do you think of him being?
No, this guy comment real quick. That was Max that wanted Brown traded. That was not Josh Sway as you wrote it. That was just Max.
Yeah.
But go ahead. Sorry.
What do you guys think of Joe not really calling timeouts during the Heat runs in this game? And he's saying just let these guys figure it out. I know some people were mad about it on Twitter, but I found that to be one of his first definitive statements as a coach is that I'm going to let these guys play. I'm not going to reel them in with a timeout if the other team's going on a run.
I never like it. Not my thing. I'm a calm them down guy. I don't see much benefit. You don't need 100 timeouts for the end of the game. I think anytime if you have a double-digit lead or you're in control of a game and you feel the tide turning, I'm always in favor of the quick timeout. Just calm them down for a second. It doesn't matter who it is. I always like doing it. So I've never liked the let them play philosophy. Sometimes they just need a pause, and you can feel it coming. And you have to, it's an ounce of prevention, pound of cure sort of thing. Don't call it after they went on the 9-0 run. Call it when you sniff one coming. I think that's something every coach has to learn. What's so funny, the Heat went on a 7-0 run. He went on a 7-0 run, and Joe didn't call timeout. Then Tatum finally got a bucket, and Spoelstra called the timeout. He's like, nope, I'm not gonna let them take another lead again. Spoelstra called the timeout on a 2-0 Boston run after Joe had just let them, get 7 or 9 points unanswered. And I think that that's smart. So that's my takeaway there. I don't love the let him play stuff. I don't see the benefit.
Went from what, an 8-point lead at half to a tie game in the time it took to not call a timeout there. And they had a 12-point lead in the game at one point. So they did lose a double-digit lead. Not a huge
A couple
lead in
times,
this one,
but
yeah. So Tatum appreciated it. I mean, I didn't get to ask too many other guys about it tonight. They were kind of in and out post game, but Joe was pretty definitive in that these guys are experienced. I like to see them figure it out and let them play. But I'm generally with you, John. In big games, it's important to cut it off. Although what Tatum said to me is that this is the second game of the season. So if there's any time for the players to figure it out, it's now, even if they end up losing a game.
But it's not a matter of like, it's not like you've handicapped the players and stunted their development by calling a timeout and not let them figure it out on their own. It's just kind of the role of the coach. That's what you're there for, is to calm them down, get them refocused. That's what you're supposed to do. It's not a big deal to do so. This is funny. I want to address it just because some people think it's, a lot of people here, with the JB slander over the last few years, it is pretty interesting, if not, flat out foolish, to have thought some of the trade scenarios that we'd considered or had been thrown around regarding Brown, one of them being Beal, which I never got fully at all.
Yeah,
and
me neither.
And again, I'm going to tell you, even though everyone thinks I'm president of the JB Slander fan club, I was 10,000% against trading him for Durant on record here on social media, every show that we did. No. How do you guys feel about that now? And again, it's 2 games, but still.
Let's see it through. My answer is
I was always fine with either outcome.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know about that, Bobby, but you were like, it's because
I
don't know.
I supported one, which was Durant.
I'm like, look, my whole thing was the contract. I'm like, you guys, this is ideal. This is exactly what you want to happen if you're an NBA franchise. Your 2 star players going into their prime, and neither one of them has a year left on their deal. Like, they're right in the middle of it. So see it through. See it through. I know Kevin Durant is one of the greatest scorers of all time, but I would have always wondered, what were those 2 going to do? If everything happened, if the trade went down and Durant became a Celtic, like, that would have bothered me. Like, how are those 2 going to respond from that NBA Finals loss? So I think Brad Stevens felt the same way, and the organization were like, look, we're getting at least two more years out of these 2 guys. Never mind trading them after 1, because that's essentially what happened last year. You got 1 year out of these 2 being the clear-cut leaders while trying to, lead a ship that was obviously sort of rebuilding, with a brand new coach and a new personnel and all that. So, yeah, I always wanted to see them see it through.
Yeah, my stance was always that if you could get him for Brown and White, it's just something you should do. Like, that's just a great trade to me. The advantage for the Celtics is that because of the fact that the Nets wanted, let's just say, Brown, Rob, 7 firsts, blah, 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 blah. You could just say no and move on with 2 great young players, which is what they did. And they still leave the Nets flailing in the wind, which I'm pretty confident that's going to fall apart in Brooklyn pretty fast to start this year. So far it's looking like the right move, even if it was White and Brown and some picks and stuff. Like, you would have been foregoing Brown's continued ascent here, which is, it's just crazy to see him continue to take steps in terms of efficiency, in terms of rounding out his game. Defensively, he's been great. And he made a few nice plays in that first half, too, passing out of the high post. I mean, he just keeps getting better. It reminds you how young these guys are. I know you hate that, John, but their age allows them to continue to get better and better toward the late 20s.
Goodman wanted to trade him so badly.
That's not the aspect I hate, Bobby. I hate using it as an excuse. You're a man in this league. You've been playing. This is your 6th and your 7th year. The excuses of they're still young don't hold. But the possibility of them continuing to get better is very real. Both of those things can be true. I just think the whole, like, well, he's only this. Yeah, but he's in his 6th year and in his 4th conference finals. Like,
some of it was
that's
excuse,
a very
but some
developed.
of it's
that
some of
to
it's
me
reality.
is. I mean, look, Are you going to be a little better when you're a
John,
little
when
older with
you're-
more experience? That's fine. But you're not talking about year 1 and 2 guys. They are veteran guys.
Yeah,
So anything
John,
they did
when-
last year,
when-
I'm not chalking up to any mistakes they made last year is not because of youth. That's what I
I know,
back.
but when we're
Right.
sitting there saying, "Oh, do we need to blow this up?" It was premature because of the fact that they were young, and the immaturity solves itself over time, and they get better in their games, and they get more mature on the floor in terms of decision making and stuff like that. That's where it was just a reality. It wasn't an excuse. It was just the fact that they're younger than a lot of guys entering their primes, and this is why. What age do guys usually win their championship at? 27, 28,
I know
29?
we've had this discussion too. The reason most people win it later is because most of the premium players in the league who are drafted in the top 2, 3, 4, 5 slots are drafted into horrible teams that take 3, 4, 5 years to get competitive. So therefore, of course, you're not even going to have a chance to make runs until your age 23, age 24 season. So of course it takes longer. I mean, that's always going to be a problem. Again, Tatum and Brown were born by, just by fire here. They immediately jumped into Jason Tatum started game 1 of his rookie year on a team with finals aspirations that made the conference finals the year before. It's a totally different ball game, trial by fire, and they were in it right away.
His team, though, I think that's the part that
and he wasn't the
it
alpha.
was never his team.
Yeah,
whether it was Kyrie or it was later on it was Kemba or that bridge year where it seemed like he was starting to be that leader, but it was still Kemba was still. He was still in the fold, even though he wasn't 100%. And then it was last year was the clear cut. Okay, this is Tatum and Brown's team, and they're gonna have to try to figure this thing out with a brand new head coach who holds them accountable. And obviously, we all know what happened. There was growing pains in the first few months, but I think regardless of what happened in the NBA Finals, and regardless of how people feel about the way they got there, I don't think anyone was saying, "Oh, there's no way these two can get back there." We all knew it was going to be tough. We knew other teams would improve, and that maybe they caught a couple of breaks, and Middleton being hurt in that Bucks series, and Jimmy Butler missing that 3 in Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals. But I think everyone agreed that these two were going to continue to get better, and that if anyone was to help, help them do that to get back to the finals and do it again, it was going to be Ime Udoka, right? Like he was the biggest reason why for the turnaround. But now these guys without him are showing that they matured, they've reached that level, and that approach that we've never seen from them. And even though it's only been 2 games, I think this is the reason why a lot of Celtics fans were worried about the whole Kevin Durant thing, because they were just like, well, wait a minute, like they're on the verge, they're on the cusp of something major here. And I think that's what we're seeing right now.
This is an interesting point someone brought up here. I guess just going through my head, trying to recall, most of the shots Tatum's taken the first 2 games. This does feel like something he's doing a little bit less, right?
Yeah.
The contested step back, it's a shot I've
there
never
were a few
liked.
tonight. There were a few tonight.
There were more tonight than there were in game 1, but this is a thing I never liked, and I don't want him to lean on, and I don't want him to use. I understand shot clock going down, and you've got the ball in your hands, and you got to create. That's fine. I don't like it early in the clock. I don't like it when you hold the ball for 10 seconds, and that's the shot you settle for. Definitely holding the ball. Definitely held the ball a little longer tonight at times. He had that one situation. Who was on him when he turned it over in the fourth quarter there?
It was a crowd, but who was it?
It was a smaller defender. He was way up from the 3-point line, but he looked like he really just wanted to set him up and shoot over the top, and he turned it over there. He had a couple turnovers trying to hang on to the ball a little too long tonight, but for the most part, I'm not seeing as many of these.
Yeah.
More mid-range, more floaters, more directly to the basket. And the difference this year, what happened last year in the finals? What happened last year? I mean, definitely in the finals. Tatum shot like 27% from 2 or something like that. He could not finish at all.
Yeah. A lot of settling. You guys remember. He set up a lot of 3s.
His 3 percentage, I think, in the finals was 39%. He just couldn't hit a layup. Vincent. It was Gabe Vincent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gabe Vincent, he was good tonight. I don't know, though. I'm just not thrilled with Miami here. They had a good year last year. I think
they might be on the way down.
As much as Phoenix gets talked about as a team that's obviously on the way down, even though they won opening night, good comeback.
Yeah, that
This
was a
Miami
great game,
team, to
man.
me, they've relied on a lot of bench guys punching above their weight over the last couple of years here. Butler, we talked about. Bam, a little more aggressive early, but not as great as the game went on there. So, again, you're saying Josue, these are two of the better teams in the East. That's a great point. Maybe the Celtics are head and shoulders above some of their top competition in the East. Milwaukee aside, we still got to see them. The real challenges are, of course, out in the West. And I'm interested to see what they're going to look like against the Warriors and the Clippers and some of those groups, Dallas, Phoenix. But the East, it's looking early on at least like the Celtics are every bit deserving of their status as the favorites in this conference, or at least right up there with anyone else.
I was just curious how it was going to work with the lack of big man depth, getting beat up on the glass, not being able to defend with the same kind of freedom that they had last year without Rob in there. I just thought you'd have a lot of games where, and possessions where you might play 22 good seconds of defense and then the other team just gets, just kills you on the glass, cleans up offensive boards, putbacks, second chance opportunities. It just takes the wind out of your sails when you do that. But the offense is playing at such a high level right now. They can live with the defense being, 10% worse than it was last year, 15% worse, because they're just functioning at a higher level.
Right. 1 through 5, too.
We got the robots fighting here now.
Yeah, the robots whipping each other in the back. I love that.
We got the Magic tomorrow.
Yep, Magic tomorrow. There'll be a Nick Gelso appearance on the show.
Tomorrow?
Wow.
Yep.
Wow, you're teasing this thing, huh?
He's subbing in for me.
Okay, that makes sense.
He's subbing in, but he'll be there.
I thought we were just teasing his he's our guest of the show.
No, he's gonna host the show. He's running the show. Okay, he's running the point tomorrow. So you get some boomer takes. I know a lot of you guys love Nick, so pass it on. The Nick Gelso appearances are rare, and they're spectacular. Okay.
I thought you were gonna write it right there, but it's not. Didn't work.
No. No, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So we'll see what happens there. Closing thoughts, guys.
More the same. Blow them out on the second night of a back-to-back on the road. That would be great. But I mean, either way, it's just if this team continues to play like this offensively, man. Like this is a great way to get yourself keep the rhythm going into that matchup on Monday. And I want to keep seeing this Tatum and Brown back and forth with how many points they're scoring. They're always neck and neck. Let's see if they can keep that going. But just more of the same, honestly. That's all I got.
Bobby Buckets.
I'm thrilled. I had concerns just like anyone else about this team coming in, and you said it, John, big man depth and rebounding and going from that double big lineup that worked so well last year to a smaller, more offensive mindset. But you won a game offensively now, won a game defensively. You can do it both. These players, more than anything, I think the biggest surprise to the two games is just their ability to carry forward what they were taught last year. And was it Ime? Were there other coaches involved who are still on the staff? I think that's a story that's going to get told as the year goes on here in terms of credit. But that was one of the things I said, John, after the Ime suspension in terms of hope. If they took what he gave them last year, carried it forward, and they managed themselves to some degree here, maturity, they were going to be successful because they still have that talent. It doesn't really matter that they have a first-year head coach who's 34 and only taught Division II. Like, they just have more talent than other teams.
The whole thing is fascinating. I just can't wrap my mind around what's going on in terms of what they think and feel. And you're right. Unless the story gets told and we start to hear a little bit more about what's going on behind the scenes, I have no idea. Like, are they loving Joe? Did they always love Joe? Is he the difference maker? Is it carrying over from what Ime taught them and it's allowed them to mature? Is it just something that happened naturally on their own? Did secretly they not love playing under Ime because he was too tough and called them out? All of this stuff and all of these narratives that people are guessing throwing out there. I have no idea. We'll see how long they carry this. Again, 2 games. I don't want to get too far out ahead of ourselves. We're talking, people in the chat here talking about a 70-win team. You pump the brakes, but right now, again, there's just not a lot not to like. And they're clearly responding to Joe, and he clearly looks the part right now. So I the whole thing is fascinating, Bobby. I really don't know. Kess asking here, when's the next call-in phone line session?
Oh man, we should do that soon.
So I think what we're gonna do.
The Chicago game's a good one for that.
Well, I think what we're going to do is this. We're going to pick a day. I got to look at the calendar. I think we're going to pick a day, and we're just going to kind of do a Twitter Spaces on that day. I got to pick a day where there's fewer Celtics games, and we might just make it a recurring thing. Let's just call it like Wednesday at 6:00 or something, and we're just going to do it every week. And then we might do it when we have breaking news or after a big game to kind of keep the party going from the post game.
We have that gap between Monday and Friday. So
yeah. So we got to find a place to do that. I do want to hear from you guys. Because I haven't had a chance. We haven't had a chance to talk to you guys this, this season. It would be great to get your perspective on things. Of course, we always love you in the chat. If you guys do want to keep the conversation going, you can always head over to our Discord server. Let me see if I can find that. Where is it? Discord, right here. You can head over to that and talk, hang out, clnsmedia.com/Discord. 1,000, 1,200, I have no idea. Ton of you guys are in there. Pretty active chat room. You guys can go in there, continue the conversation.
I'll be back in there. I gotta get back in.
I know it's been a while. Let me get in there now.
It's been a while. Yeah. I might jump in there.
Oh God, Mac Zappy conversation starting in the chat.
I'll give you my nickel version of the Max Zappy. I don't think it's as cut and dried as everyone makes it out to be. I think Mac is the starter, and I think he will be when he's fully healthy. What I truly believe is going to happen, though, is I do not believe he's fully healthy. So what's going to be interesting?
That's what blows my mind.
What?
That there's this urgency to get it should be fine. You have a backup who's playing good. You have a starter who's hurt. Let the starter recover, then bring him back when he's healthy. But there's this rush to get him back, and he's got to save his job. I think it's stupid.
I don't think it's a rush to get him back, and I don't think he's trying to save his job. What I actually think the Patriots are doing is what they always do, is just to try to create a little bit of subterfuge or confusion by putting him out there and having him practice and making him appear like he'll play when the reality is he's not planning on playing.
Oh, so you think he's on the bench?
What's going to drive the conversation and everybody bananas is when they're both active, but Zappy still plays, and the reason given will be that Mac is not healthy enough. But people will be like, "Is that really what's happening?"
They will love that,
and that's going to go banana. So, we'll see what's that. There's reports out there that it's Mac.
We have a season, John.
Yeah. There's reports.
I thought they were done. I thought they were done when Mac went down, and it'd just be a joke of a year. So either way, at least we have stuff to talk about on that front.
This is a good one for Jimmy's chair squeak. We can do that.
The fart. We still don't have that clip. That's one that's lost in time. I need that.
The squeak.
Oil fun.
If anyone can find that Jimmy fart clip, please send it my way. I think
Jimmy deleted it off of YouTube. He probably
Jimmy scrubbed it out.
That episode is lost forever now.
It is. The tapes are gone.
The tapes are gone.
He
went to the vault.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap
on a train and head up to Orlando in the morning. So I'll see you guys up there.
Atta baby. Once again, we want to tell you guys our sponsors, Athletic Greens. Check that out. athleticgreens.com/garden. No need for a million different pills and supplements. One scoop, 75 vitamins and minerals, right there. Cup of water. Down it in the morning. You're good to go. Your health is taken care of. You got nothing to worry about. Go to athleticgreens.com/garden, free 1-year supply, vitamin D, 5 free travel packs, your first purchase. And then, of course, when you go to bed tonight, calm.com. You do Athletic Greens first thing in the morning, but at night, it's Calm, #1 mental wellness app, calm.com/garden, a 40% off Calm premium subscription. you get their entire library, their entire catalog of sleep stories, music, sound effects, all sorts of stuff there. And you do get a phenomenal t-shirt, even though this is not exactly the one here. Celtics Heat. Celtics win. They're 2-0. Orlando tomorrow. Bobby's there. Josue's there. Nick will be here in the big seat running the show. I may hop on just to say hi late in the game, but I don't know if I'll have been able to take in the game. So I'll let you guys know about that. But if not, have a great show, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night.
If Celtics lose, you'll definitely be there. I know it.
No, I'm enjoying this. I like this.
Positive John.
Again, people forget that people forget the Garden Report was born from a bubble run where Jimmy and I were the two cheerleaders at the front of the pack,
and I was picking Toronto,
shaking our pom-poms,
right.
and Bobby's picking Toronto, and Jimmy are like, we're like, you're nuts.
Yeah. By
the way, Toronto
flip-flop. You picked Toronto from the beginning and all the way through, so that was
By the way, you think I've backed? Oh, they actually lost tonight, but
they lost. Yeah.
I really like Toronto this year. You thought I liked them in 2020. It's going to be a lot of Toronto buzz coming from me this year, which some of our viewers will love.
Yeah, it's always a good matchup.
It's always a good matchup. Anyway, we are out, guys. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys tomorrow.